Once upon a time in the heart of Benin city, where the night hummed with generators and the streets smelled of roasted plantain and sweat, lived three young men, Osas, Ihis, and Lay. They were boys of the city, hardened by suffering, and familiar with the language of survival. They roamed the Agbowo axis, near the university gates, not as students but as watchers, boys who dreamt of riches they could not earn. Osas was the brain, calm, observant, with a deep scar running across his jawline from a childhood fight. Ihis, the joker, laughed at every problem even when they slept on empty stomachs. Lay was the quiet one, dark-skinned, heavily built, and dangerous when provoked. They had tried everything: betting, hawking phones, running errands for cult boys, and even washing cars for lecturers. But the hustle brought only coins, never the life they dreamed of. One evening, while watching a convoy of sleek cars pull into a club on Airport Road, Osa sighed heavily. "See life," he muttered. "Now this kind ride I go die put." Lay grunted. "Dem no get two heads. No juju." That night, as rain fell like curses from the sky, their fate took a turn. A black Lexus pulled up beside them, and from it stepped Osoro, a childhood friend they had not seen in 5 years, now dripping in gold, perfume, and confidence. He smiled, his teeth shining unnaturally white. "My boys," he hailed. "Una still day here." His laughter was louder than the thunder. And behind that laughter, a story waited to be told. Osoro was not the same boy they once knew. He spoke slowly, each word dipped in pride and dripping in mockery. His wristwatch alone could buy a whole plot in Usulu. He treated them to drinks that night at a luxury lounge in GRA, meat as soft as butter, wine as red as blood. As the boys ate, Osoro leaned back and said, "I know wetin una dey go through. Now the same suffering carry me reach this point. But I no suffer in vain." They listened, heads bowed, hearts racing. "You see all these politicians and club girls? Them they collect from the same pot. The real pot of wealth," he said with a smirk. Lay asked, "Which pot?" Osoro looked around, then whispered, "Ritual. Not just any ritual. One way they require something sacred. Female underwear." Their laughter was short-lived. Osoro's face hardened. "You think say no play? I don't chop money where your entire generation no go ever smell. But everything comes at a price." He opened a small black pouch and pulled out a red bead, then whispered a chant that made the lights flicker for a second. "I go take una meet the barber," he said. "If una ready." And just like that, they took their first step toward the abyss. 2 nights later, under the cover of darkness, Osoro drove them out of Benin toward a forest near Evobanosa, a village old people rarely spoke of without crossing themselves. There, in a clearing surrounded by dying trees and ash-filled air, stood a shrine built from rusted zinc and bones. The air was thick, like something was watching. "Don't look back," Osoro warned as they stepped in. Inside, an old man with white chalk covering his face sat cross-legged beside a pot that hissed like it was boiling flesh. This was Babalawo Obasiji, feared by men and spirits alike. He didn't speak for 5 minutes. He only stared, blinking slowly, as though seeing into their souls. Then, he spoke in a tone that cracked the air, "You have come to trade shame for silver, dignity for dominion, and underwear for unimaginable wealth." The boys nodded slowly. He instructed them to get panties from women they had slept with, not stolen, not borrowed. "You must collect it fresh from passion, soaked in her scent, not washed," he said. "Each pant is a soul key. You bring 7, you cross the gate." But he gave one warning: "After wealth begins, never disobey my monthly offering. Miss it, and madness shall be your bedmate." They agreed. And so began the darkness. Back in Benin, the mission began. Oses, Ihis, and Lay suddenly became irresistible to women. The ritual started with a bath in the blood of a crow and a black soap laced with herbs that made their aura magnetic. Girls flocked to them, nurses, undergraduates, sugar mummies, even married women. Each encounter ended the same way, with a stolen pant and a whispered chant taught by Babalawo Obaseji. Oses was the fastest, collecting his 7 within 10 days. Ihis followed next. Lay struggled, he wasn't the charming type. But one night, he got into a fight and forced himself on a lady in the back of a club. The pant was collected, but the blood stain on it would curse him silently. Once they delivered the pants, Babalawo performed a ritual under the full moon. Flames rose without fuel, and their names were written with the ashes of owl feathers. From this moment, the Baba declared, "Money shall obey your name. But disobey me, and the madness of the gods shall be your companion." As he finished, a scream echoed from the shrine's walls, a scream none of them had uttered. That night, they were reborn. And the world would never see them the same again. The transformation was instant. Oses bought a Benz within 3 days. Ihis rented a mansion in Sapil Road with a jacuzzi and 10 flat-screen TVs. Lay, quieter than the rest, bought 2 plots in Agbo and opened a lounge where girls dance for cash every weekend. Money poured in like rain, and with it came women, envy, and praise. But with every step forward, something invisible followed behind, watching. Babalawo Obaseji called them every month to remind them, "Bring the blood of a white rooster and burn incense by midnight. If you forget, you bleed from within." At first, they obeyed. But the world of the rich is a world without discipline. Oses began missing appointments. Ihis once sent a proxy with the wrong offering. Only Lay remained consistent. But then Osoro, the initiator, disappeared. His number stopped connecting. His house was emptied overnight. Rumor had it he was seen at Ring Road, naked, talking to the statue of Emoten, calling her mother. Madness had started. But they laughed. "Maybe he broke the rules," Osa said. "But me, I day in control." Pride had started to creep in. And pride, in ritual, is the root of destruction. Osas was the first to hear it. One evening, as he counted stacks of cash, he heard a soft voice whisper from his closet. "Return. Return what is mine." He jumped up, only to find his room empty. He shook his head and blamed the weed. But the whisper returned the next day, only louder. Lay began having nightmares, girls with bloodied underwear chasing him through fields of fire. He has started vomiting feathers. They all kept quiet about it, fearing the others would mock them. But the shrine had begun to collect its debt. Worse, Osas began ignoring Babalawo's calls. "I no go day kill rooster every month like say I be butcher," he grumbled. He has forgot the chant during the last offering. Lay was the only one who still kept up, but the blood-stained pant he used had poisoned his soul. One night, all three woke up at exactly 2:33 a.m., sweating and gasping. They didn't know they had just crossed into the zone of no return. A countdown had begun, a countdown to madness, to betrayal, to blood. That Friday, they hosted the biggest party Benin had seen in months. Girls from Wari, Abuja, even Ghana showed up. Alcohol flowed. Skirts flew. But in the middle of the party, Osas collapsed. His eyes rolled back, and he began to bark like a dog. Everyone laughed, thinking it was a joke. But then he started chewing his money, literally. Lay rushed him out, but Ihis, drunk and high, ignored the signs. That night, Ihis slept with two sisters and kept their pants for insurance, hoping to renew his fading power. By dawn, news had spread, Osas Don ran mad. But no one knew the cause. Lay rushed to the shrine, but Obaseji was gone. The hut was empty, the ashes cold. Written on the wall in red charcoal were the words, "The gods are watching." One by one, the madness will spread. Lay began to fear for his life. He saw what happened to Osas and realized that the gods were no longer accepting excuses. The city, once full of praise for their wealth, now whispered about curses. Osas had been admitted to a psychiatric ward after trying to baptize himself in fuel and asking someone to light a match. Lay sat at the edge of his bed that night, replaying the words of Obasaji, "Miss your offering and madness shall be your bedmate." He couldn't unsee the blood-stained pant he had submitted, and for the first time, he confessed to himself, "I went too far." He decided to speak to a retired native priest in Okoda town, hoping to find a way out. The old man looked at him long and hard before saying, "You crossed into the land of no return when you offered that girl's blood. You opened a door not even death can close. The shrine doesn't just want payment, it wants lineage. Unless you destroy the pants and confess, your end will come faster than thunder." Lay went home, trembling. The others wouldn't listen. But he knew, the storm was close. Ihis's madness did not come with a scream. It came with silence. He stopped eating. Stopped laughing. He stared at mirrors and whispered to them. One day, while driving along Sapil Road, he parked in the middle of the road, came out naked, and began digging into the asphalt with his bare hands. "I buried her here," he screamed. Police arrested him, thinking it was drugs. But in jail, he spoke in tongues, sometimes chanting Obasaji's incantations. When they checked his house, they found a shrine of panties, over 20 of them, hung like trophies. Lay visited him in jail and wept. "I warned you," he said. "We should have backed out when Osoro vanished." But Ihis only smiled. "She told me last night. The girl I used. She's coming for me." That night, Ihis clawed out his own eyes and died before morning. The news hit Benin like a hammer. 2 boys down. 1 left. Lay knew he was next. But he wasn't ready to die. Not yet. Lay returned to the forest, desperate. The shrine had vanished, but he left sacrifices there, crying, begging, praying to any spirit that still walked with mercy. On the 7th night, he found a crow perched on the rusted altar. Beneath it was a note, "Come alone. Bring no shadow. Or lose your soul." That night, he returned and found Babalawo Obasaji, older, darker, and no longer fully human. "You have seen," the Baba said. "The gods collect debts without receipts." Lay knelt, weeping. "I want to be free." Obasaji laughed. "You want freedom from a vow sealed in sex, blood, and shadow? Then you must return everything. Find every girl you used. Burn their pants. Wash your hands in their tears. And even then, the gods may still taste your blood." It was impossible. But it was the only chance he had. Lay started the impossible journey. He hunted down the girls, those still alive, those who hadn't vanished into madness themselves. Many refused to see him. Some cursed him. One spat in his face. But he begged. One after the other, he collected the cursed underwear and destroyed them. He returned gifts. Gave them money. Paid their hospital bills. But the last girl, Amanda, the one with the blood-stained pant, was missing. Rumor said she died. Some said she vanished after accusing a man of rape. Lay couldn't rest. Without Amanda's pant, the chain remained unbroken. He searched clubs, villages, even morgues. Each night he dreamed of her, her eyes, her scream, her blood. The gods were not done. One midnight, as he burnt the 6th pant behind his house, Amanda appeared. Not in flesh, but in spirit. She stood barefoot, her eyes hollow, her dress soaked with blood. "You touched me without mercy," she whispered. "Now mercy shall abandon you." Lay fell to his knees, crying, "Please, let me fix it." She pointed toward the shrine in the forest. "There, we end this. You or me." The next day, Lay packed his bag, wore a white cloth, and headed for Evobanoso one last time. He was ready to pay with his life. But he wasn't ready for what he would find waiting. The forest was alive that night. Owls hooted. Trees wept. The ground hissed. At the center, Babalawo Obaseji waited with a knife made from the rib of a goat. Amanda stood beside him, still ghost, still bleeding. "She is the doorway," the Boba said. "If you want to live, you must do what no ritual boy has ever done, bleed for your victim." Lay agreed. He knelt, took the blade, and carved his own chest, offering the blood to Amanda's spirit. She watched. Then whispered, "It's not enough. You must tell the world what you did. Or I won't leave." Lay nodded, barely conscious. The ritual ended. The next morning, Lay awoke naked, weak, but alive. Amanda's ghost was gone. And for the first time in years, he felt free. Lay returned to Benin and did the unthinkable. He went on air. A national TV crew was doing a documentary on youth ritualism. He requested to speak live. He told everything. How they collected panties. How they sacrificed girls unknowingly. How the madness consumed them. The country trembled. The police opened investigations. Past victims came forward. Some families wept. Some cursed him, but Lay didn't care. He had paid. And now he wanted others to never walk his path. Not everyone wanted the truth. Some powerful men who used the same ritual path saw Lay as a threat. They sent boys after him. His house was burnt. He went into hiding. But his story had already spread. Mothers warned daughters. Clubs were raided. A law was passed banning the use of intimate items in any form of ritual. But the dark cult wasn't done. They sent Babalawo Obaseji himself to silence him. Obaseji came to Lay in a dream, this time not old, but monstrous. Horns on his head, fire in his eyes. "You broke the code. The forest wants your bones." Lay woke up vomiting blood. He knew his time was near. But a priest from Delta contacted him. "There is one last rite," the priest said. "If you break the shrine itself, the curse ends for all." So Lay returned to the forest again, carrying salt, holy oil, and the ashes of Amanda's pant.
There, he fought Obaseji, not physically, but spiritually. For hours, the forest shook. When dawn came, the shrine was no more.
After that night, Lay disappeared. Some say he went to a monastery. Some say he died. Others believe he walks from school to school, teaching students about greed, ritual, and the price of shortcuts. But the madness stopped. No more pant rituals. No more sudden Benz cars from unknown hustles. The shrine was gone. Osas never recovered. He remained in the mental home, drawing panties on the wall and screaming about red beads. But one night, he vanished. Nurses said he walked out naked and disappeared into the forest. His body was never found. His madness lived on in the whispers of girls he once used. 10 years later, a new group of boys in Benin tried to recreate the pant ritual. They found an old diary belonging to Ihis. But when they began the process, the spirit of Amanda returned, this time not with words, but with wrath. All of them died within 7 days. The curse was not dead, only sleeping. And so, the story became a folktale. In barber shops, mothers' kitchens, and university hostels, people spoke of the boys of Benin who traded pants for power and found only pain. They spoke of Amanda, the ghost who taught a city to fear shortcuts. And they spoke of Lay, the one who confessed, because in Africa, the spirits do not forget, and every shortcut to wealth has a price, one that may cost your mind or your soul. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting and captivating African folktale story. Love you all.